Hi everyone, my name's Dan and welcome to another Prima webinar. This video will be the last webinar in our contract mini-series and we'll be discussing how to make amendments to contracts in bulk, export your contracts in bulk and also import them back into your database. So to start off with, we'll be looking at the contract grid manager. So you can access this by going to contract on the left hand side and then selecting contract with a little cog icon next to it. You'll see if you hover over it, it does say contract group update. When you click this, it'll bring up the grid manager. So within here, you can search for whatever you want. You can search for certain customers of yours, certain product codes. You can see at the bottom, you can search by account manager or business groups as well. So if I went ahead and I could search for everyone on this database. And it's brought up 43 results. So if I go into the result tab now, you'll see every single item that's on a contract for all the customers on this database will display in this result field. So if there was something that I didn't want to necessarily amend, I could highlight whichever one or multiple just by clicking and dragging. Or you can also control click or shift click. Control click will highlight individual ones, shift click will highlight the lot. And there's an option to remove at the bottom. And that means that whatever you do on this third change tab, they won't, the products that you remove won't be affected by it. Once you have got the results that you want to amend, you've got the change tab, the third one along, and you've got a couple of options here. You can choose to, on the search tab, you might have just searched for one particular item code. If so, you could then click this replace with the following product, enter the product you want to replace, and then you can select the replacement unit in there as well. Basically what would happen then, once you click apply, all the products in your results field will be replaced by that product that you've put in at the top there. You've got a few other options. You've got change price type. So if you have contract items which are on as a margin, that would change them to just be a standard selling price. If you had them down as a selling price in your contracts, that would change them to a marketable margin. The third one's quite handy. It's to remove from contract completely. So if you've got a rather large contract and it might have over 100 lines on, rather than deleting them one by one, as you'll have seen on the last webinar, going into this grid manager, you've got the ability to search for a whole customer's contract, go into the change tab, and you can use this remove from contract button to remove all of those lines, or at least the ones that you've left in that results tab. So this is quite handy for when companies are doing kind of overhauls at the start of the year. They might export the whole contract list. They might remove everything out and then re-import it, so they're starting afresh for the new year. The options down the bottom here in relation to pricing. So you've got the option to adjust the selling price by a fixed amount. So if you're using that kind of just a selling price method in your contracts, it'll increase it by the amount that you input here. Adjust the selling price by a fixed percentage. So again, in here, pop your percentage in and the selling price will be updated. Set selling price to. So if it's a case where you've searched for a particular product and you want every one of your customers to receive the same contract price for that product, you could highlight this box and then input the value on the right there. On the right hand side, you've got the option to adjust if it's a marketable margin item, to increase it or adjust it by a fixed amount. Below that, the ability to up it to adjust it by a certain percentage. And then below that, to set a selling price with a certain marketable margin. Once you've put in whatever change that you want to make, all you need to do is go ahead and hit apply. Whatever changes that you've made in this window will have affected all the results, so in this case 43, which are on that results tab. If you want to go ahead and export a certain customer's contract out. Like you seen on the last webinar, you can do it per contract individually, but if you want to do that in bulk, what you can do is go to the search tab. You might want to just search for everyone again, every contract that's in your database, and then on the result tab, all you need to do is right click and hit export data. Once you click this, it'll bring up a little window. And you've got the option there to export it to Excel, where you can analyze it and you can start putting it into the template to re-import it. On the last tab where you could see you've got information about selling prices and markup and margin. If you're unsure what pricing type a product is set at in a contract, it does tell you on this results tab, so you can see the pricing rule here will either be S or M depending on which one it is. Obviously if it's M, you can see there's a markable margin percentage inputted. If it's S, there's an amount in the selling price field. So once you've exported your list of contract items, what you'll then do, once you've corrected the pricing to whatever you want, you'll need to put it into this following template. So this template will usually be blank, but I've just filled in a little bit of information to show you how it could look. So all of the columns need to be filled in apart from column C, which is the invoice description. It'll just go in as the kind of standard description that's already on for that product at the moment. And then you can see in columns F and G, you have to either choose whether you want it to be a selling price or a markable margin, which is why you can see there's 2 for selling price and 2 for markup margin. What you would have to copy all your information from the export over into this, so you can see the first column will have your customer's account code on your database. If there's multiple lines on that customer's contract, as you can see here with rows 3 and 4, it has the same account code because they're both for the same customer. The item code will just be the stock code on Prima. Invoice description, if you want to amend that, that's fine. Column D, so this will be what the pack size is on Prima. So if it's an each, you're just going to put EA in there. If it's a pack, you're just going to put pack. If it's EA, the pack size column E, will always be 1. But the pack size will vary depending on the product, if it's the unit type is a pack. And then as discussed, you'll then go ahead and put your desired pricing into F or G, depending on what you want. So once you've populated all of this, what you will then want to do is save it as a CSV file in the following folder. So in your C drive, on the computer that's running your EDC, you'll want to go to the Prima V6 folder, into the imports folder, and save it into here. Prima will then pick up the file, and it should go into the process folder, providing everything's okay. And that will go straight into Prima, and it will update the contracts for those customers. If a line already exists in the contract, it will simply just update it. If there's a new line which doesn't exist in the contract, it will add it in. But if there was an item that was not on the spreadsheet but was already in your customer's contract, it wouldn't delete it out of the contract. It would leave it in there. So it will amend existing items, it will add new items, but it won't delete off ones that don't exist in this new spreadsheet. That's why sometimes it can be advised to, when you're in this contract grid manager, if you are going to do a big overhaul, to search for all of your contracts, and then once you've exported it, you can use this remove from contract function, so that any items that you remove off the spreadsheet when you're doing your analysis on it, they will be removed from the actual contract as well. and when you're doing your new import, it'll just be everything that's left on your spreadsheet. That's about everything for today on this topic. I hope you found the last 3 episodes useful. If you do have any questions whatsoever, feel free to contact our customer care team, or you can leave a comment below on this video. Thanks very much for listening. Have a nice day.